In this video, I'd like to look at the last month of quantum computing and quantum computing news, including the first couple days of September. Also, I'd like to do a quick react to Oxford Ionics CEO, and he had a very interesting interview on Bloomberg. So we're going to cover a whole bunch in a short period of time. If you like content like this, do me a huge favor, hit the like button. Let's jump in. So first, we're going to start with the company press releases, and these are pure plays in our quantum companies and kind of the information they're putting out. I just handpicked a few from each that I think are impactful. So SEALSQ received final approval from the French Ministry of the Economy, Finance and Industrial and Digital Sovereignty to complete acquisition of IC Alps. So this happened on August 4th. As a result of the acquisition, approximately 90 employees from IC Alps have joined SEALSQ, bringing the company's total staff in France to over 150 people. So it's nice to see that growth for SEALSQ. We also saw with SEALSQ that they are launching a quantum joint venture in Abu Dhabi with a $100 million local investment target. The joint venture aims to develop a post-quantum semiconductor personalization center and satellite production hub. Okay, taking a look at IonQ. IonQ in August and early September has had some pretty big headlines. So IonQ has fortified their quantum leadership with groundbreaking patents surpassing 1,000 total IP assets. IonQ's robust and growing portfolio of patents is a direct result of the strategy set forth years ago, which entails developing and owning quantum technologies across multiple industries and applications. These patents position IonQ to continue to develop scalable, high-performance, cost-effective systems that accelerate the timeline for unparalleled quantum advantage. So as some of you might know, IEEE is having a quantum conference this week. I actually have been listening to some of the keynotes. I was given a press pass and a virtual conference. So just in my headphones, listening to some of the keynotes early in the morning. And what I've learned or I've gleaned is that there's still a lot going on, a lot of research going on with these companies. And probably my favorite of the group was, I believe, let's take a look. So I really enjoyed the keynote from Jay Gambetta from IBM Quantum and Pete Shadbolt of PsiQuantum. Both I thought were really good. And a little bit later in this video, I'm going to do a react to Oxford Ionics, and we're going to put that at the end. So IonQ highlighted in 12 events and 4 scientific papers at this IEEE conference. The research team presented the following peer-reviewed papers: a new hybrid algorithm for solving the unit commitment problem, accelerating large-scale linear algebra using variational quantum imaginary time evolution, algorithmic advances towards realizing quantum lattice Boltzmann method, and quantum language model fine-tuning. Taking a look at D-Wave. So D-Wave in the latter half of the year so far has slowed down a little bit with their news and momentum, but they have had some interesting pieces of news. So they did report Q2, and Q2 revenue was up 42% year over year. And they also announced their first ever Japan 2025 quantum computing conference that is actually happening this month in September. I'm very curious to understand why they're going over there. We know they have the clients in South Korea, or the customers in South Korea, like the universities and the mayor over there, and some initiatives coming out of South Korea. And then Japan, of course, they have NTT Docomo and different clients that are specifically in Japan, like Japan Tobacco, Yonsei University, and Incheon Metropolitan City. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out of that. Rigetti. So Rigetti reported second quarter 2025 financial results and announced the general availability of its 36 qubit multi-chip quantum computer. So they gave us their new multi-chip quantum computer called the Cepheus 136Q, the industry's largest multi-chip quantum computer. We also got earnings from IonQ, which announced second quarter financial results. They beat on their top end revenue. They also announced their $1 billion proposed acquisition of Oxford Ionics, completed acquisition of LightSync and Capella, appointed Nicolo Damasi, and they've been adding to their C-suite and their talent. So a lot of promising news coming from our quantum pure plays that are publicly traded. And notable from QCI is they were awarded a TFLN photonic chip contract by the US Department of Commerce National Institute of Standards and Technology. They also beefed up their balance sheet, Quantum Computing Inc., in their second quarter financial highlights. So their total assets in June 30th, 2025 were 426 million, increasing from 153 million December 31st, 2024. We've seen that theme. These quantum companies have fully taken advantage of investor interest, and they've all beefed up their coffers so they have longer term runway and viability as they research and bring this to maturity. Okay, now we're in the second segment. So we just looked at all of the press releases from our pure plays. Now we're going to look at Quantum Insider and some different sources and just some news that's happened during the month of August and early September. So we saw that Quantinuum is launching operations in New Mexico, expanding the quantum footprint in the Southwest. The IEEE conference is also in the Southwest. And we know that Albuquerque and the mayor, and they are very focused. We actually listened to the conference, the keynote that the mayor gave at this IEEE conference, and it was very clear that they want to find themselves at the intersection of this new technology. Quantinuum, the world's largest integrated quantum company, will begin transforming an Albuquerque facility into a new R&D hub next month. The company's move into New Mexico comes just months after it announced expansions from its Colorado headquarters. Nice to see. Bank of America, so this is on August 5th, calls quantum the most important technological race of our generation. Haim Israel said quantum computing could surpass AI impact, unlocking massive datasets, breaking encryption, and shifting global tech dominance. Quantum systems could reach practical utility by 2033, by some estimates even sooner, with early applications in pharmaceuticals, cybersecurity, and large-scale optimization problems. Israel warned that Israel lags behind global powers in quantum readiness. All right, Amazon discloses a $36.7 million stake in IonQ. So Amazon Prime, one of the biggest tech companies in the world, is investing in quantum computing via IonQ. The stake revealed in a quarterly SEC filing makes Amazon the largest publicly known tech company investor in a quantum hardware company and adds to its broader quantum strategy through AWS and Amazon bracket. So AWS and Amazon bracket have the quantum computers like Rigetti and IonQ quantum machines available for use on AWS. Quantum leaders tell FT quantum computing race enters final stretch, but scaling challenges still loom. So this was an interesting article from about mid-month where IBM and Google both claim they can build industrial large-scale quantum computers by the end of the decade. So we're talking less than 4.5 years. Scaling quantum systems from fewer than 200 qubits to millions faces major challenges, including qubit instability, interference, manufacturing complexity, and the need for cost-effective error correction. The race to build a large-scale quantum computer has moved from theory towards execution, with IBM and Google claiming they can deliver industrial-grade machines by the end of the decade. Pretty exciting news. Quanta, in mid-August, announced a $50 million investment in Quantinuum Series B preferred shares. Quanta's computer will purchase 1,867,000 shares of Quantinuum for about $50 million, and this is about a 0.5% stake on a fully diluted basis. Quanta is also an early investor in Rigetti, and Quanta was an early investor in Apple and Nvidia. So Quanta is placing bets on quantum early, between both Quantinuum and Rigetti. Very interesting to see. Oxford Ionics delivers quantum computer to UK's Quantum Computing Centre. So Oxford Ionics has delivered and installed its full stack trapped ion quantum computer quartet at the UK's National Quantum Computing Centre to support commercial use case development. And we're going to hear from Oxford Ionics at the end of this video, so definitely stick around for that. That will be interesting. IBM Venture head says company puts quantum on equal footing with AI. So IBM Ventures is treating quantum computing strategically important as artificial intelligence, giving it the same weight. That's pretty crazy. Targeting startups to build ecosystem that complements its roadmap. The unit has invested in companies such as, I can't say half those names, and StrangeWorks, while expanding partnerships with universities like the University of Chicago to accelerate commercialization of quantum technology. Microsoft maps a path to a quantum safe future. So Microsoft has outlined a phased strategy to prepare its services, customers, and partners for the security risks posed by future large-scale quantum computers. The company's quantum safe program aligns with US and international government timelines, targeting full adoption to post-quantum cryptography by 2033, with early adoption beginning in 2029. So they have a whole quantum security blog post here, posted in August 20th of 2025. Morgan Stanley discloses a 7% stake in IonQ. Morgan Stanley Investment Management disclosed a 7% ownership stake in IonQ. The stake positions the quantum computing company within the portfolios of one of the world's largest institutional investors. So a lot of institutions are in IonQ. The last time I looked at institutional investing for IonQ, I believe it was above 40%, with D-Wave actually above 50%. Honeywell announces $600 million capital raise for Quantinuum at $10 billion pre-money equity valuation to advance quantum computing at scale. So this one just came out actually today. Honeywell has Quantinuum, and they've raised $600 million in equity. The new investors include Quanta and Ventures, QED, and backers such as JP Morgan, Mutsi, Amgen, Honeywell, and the capital will support expansion of commercial systems, R&D, and the upcoming launch of Quantinuum's Helios computer in the Middle East. We also saw today IonQ advance in synthetic diamond materials, which will accelerate quantum networking scale and production. IonQ announced an advance in scalable quantum networking hardware with Element 6, developing quantum-grade synthetic diamond films compatible with standard semiconductor manufacturing. The film enables industrial-scale production of diamond-based devices for quantum memories, photonic interconnects, and hybrid on-chip systems by overcoming previous fabrication limitations. Foundry compatible quantum grade diamond films change the game in photonic interconnects, compute processors, and quantum networking. This innovation will allow us to mass produce consistent high performant systems designed for commercial quantum networks. IQM quantum computers raised over $300 million in Series B funding round led by US investor 1011 Ventures. So IQM raised $320 million. Quantum Circuits integrates with NVIDIA Q2Q to advance creation and testing of first quantum applications based on dual rail qubits. So we saw that NVIDIA at the start of the year was saying quantum was 15 or 20 years away. And now we're seeing increasing investment, increasing technological integration with quantum. And as the year goes on, more and more articles are coming out. So Quantum Circuits announced work with NVIDIA technology integrating NVIDIA Q2Q programming capabilities into its Acumen software suite. The integration provides users the opportunity to create and simulate applications in a programming environment, leveraging quantum computers and GPUs to run hybrid workflows. And of course, a long-standing theory here on this channel is that they will both be used together. Quantum and GPUs will be used in harmony to create a better output and a more efficient output. SkyWater, the chip fabricator for D-Wave, gains momentum after a $93 million Fab 25 deal. So SkyWater has been doing really well in the market this year. SkyWater identified quantum computing as its second largest end market and forecasts revenue growth more than 30% in 2025. The company is expanding capabilities in superconducting films, interposers, chip integration, while preparing to launch a superconducting design platform. What makes SkyWater very interesting is they are an onshore chip manufacturer, and you can see that they have direct ties to quantum. They already make chips for D-Wave, and it looks like they're making other types of quantum chips, and they're seeing revenue growth. So proxy play to quantum, hardware play, SkyWater. IBM and AMD joined forces to develop quantum-centric supercomputing. IBM and AMD announced a partnership to develop quantum-centric supercomputing architectures, combining IBM's quantum systems with IBM's high-performance CPUs, GPUs, and AI accelerators. The collaboration will focus on scalable open source hybrid platforms that allow quantum computers to simulate molecular behavior, while classical supercomputers process large-scale data, benefiting in areas such as drug discovery, materials science, and logistics. And this is very exciting because IBM is a leader. In fact, my last video upload, I actually gave IBM the #1 spot in the Quantum 8 because they have made a lot of money from quantum computing, and now they're aligning with one of the hottest chip makers in the country right now, AMD. And AMD is having a beautiful turnaround story. The stock has been doing amazing. The company's been doing amazing, and they have a lot in the hopper as well coming in 2026 and 2027. So this collaboration is great for both IBM, AMD, but more importantly, it's great for quantum as a sector. Quantum research may pay off even if quantum computing fails, study finds. A new study finds that investment in quantum computing benefits both quantum and classical systems, suggesting that research pays off even if fault-tolerant quantum machines never emerge. Now, if you listen to all these companies that are talking about it, both private and public, no one's saying this isn't possible. They're just saying it's not here today, that they are working on it and they think it'll be here in a few years. So we also saw at the beginning of the month that Fujitsu started the official development of a 10,000 qubit superconducting quantum computer targeting completion in 2030. Of course, IE Quantum Week is at the start of the week this week, August 31st through September 5th. And we had 9 world-class speakers, including Nobel Prize winning David Wineland and William Phillips. I listened to both of their keynotes. That was really great. So a lot of stuff going on in quantum all the time. Speaking of New Mexico and IE Quantum, IEEE, it does really look like New Mexico is 100% on board. We have this article as well. New Mexico at the quantum frontier, state and DARPA forge bold partnership. So Governor Michelle Grisham today signed an agreement between the state of New Mexico and Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, to establish the Quantum Frontier Project, a new partnership designed to accelerate the development, testing, validation of emerging quantum technologies. And I highlighted this quote as well. Quantum computing may prove to be the most consequential technology of this century for national security and breakthrough innovations. New Mexico, having once pioneered applied physics, is excited to partner with DARPA on the QBI program to stay at the forefront of frontier technology and bring our world-class research, development, and entrepreneurial ecosystem into the field. Fascinating stuff. Congratulations to New Mexico. All right, now we're going to move into the React portion of this video. All right. Excited to share this interview from Oxford Ionics.
Computing has released a full stack quantum computer. You can see it being pieced together there on your screen. It's called Quartet to the UK's National Quantum Computing Centre. The delivery marks a significant step forward in making commercially valuable quantum computing a reality. Joining me now is Chris Ballance, the co-founder and CEO of Oxford Ionics. Chris, thank you for your time. How significant is this then? And what does it do in terms of moving us forward to commercially viable quantum computing?
Good morning. This is a really big step forward. Most quantum computers to date are built up in labs. They're not deployed in the field. And this is one of the first quantum computers that we can assemble, test, and then pretty much drop ship, go deliver to a customer site, commission, and deliver just like conventional high-performance computers. And this is at the thesis of Oxford Ionics. We've always wanted to build quantum computers with the world's highest performance that we can deliver robustly in the field.
And clearly, it's a win for the UK, isn't it, Chris? How should we understand the time frame in terms of when we actually start to see a real?
This is just important to mention that IonQ has acquired Oxford Ionics. Of course, most of you already know that, but IonQ, with its already pretty big balance sheet and all of its resources and all of its patents, now has this company.
Commercial benefit from this technology. Are we talking 2 years, 5 years? What time frame are you working on?
So bottom line up front, 2 to 5 years. The thing that's really important to understand about quantum computing is just how fast the performance changes from interesting but a side project to everything. So right now, the quantum computers we're building about match the largest supercomputers on Earth for some very narrow sets of problems. The quantum computers we're going to be releasing next year with 256 qubits, these systems won't just outperform the largest supercomputers that exist to date. They'll outperform the largest supercomputers that humanity will ever build. If you look at the amount of power you'd need, just power alone, to build something with equivalent performance out of conventional technology, you need about 1 billion times the amount of electricity the Earth currently generates.
1 year from now, this 256 qubit machine. So, and he's saying two to 4 years. I think it's so profound that he says that it is going to be more powerful than any supercomputer we could ever build, ever.
So these systems in a year or so will be the best computers you can ever get.
These are mind-boggling numbers and hard for the layperson to kind of wrap their head around. And you and the team have set yourself some very ambitious targets, and you point to 2026 in terms of the number of qubits and the power that gives your compute then. What are the biggest technical bottlenecks at this point, Chris?
Well, it's good, hard engineering. It takes blood, sweat, tears, and capital. But we're now at the point, and this is why the market's so exciting, we're now at the point where we've already demonstrated in lab settings what we need to do to deliver systems, not just in 2026 or 2027, but the systems we need for the performance of 2030. That's now demonstrated, and it's a matter of engineering and integrating these systems together. We now have on chips industries and semiconductor fabs performance that's an order of magnitude better than anything else out there, and at the level we need for these ultra large scale systems.
And Chris, which industries do you think are going to be quickest to adopt this technology in that 2 to 5 year time frame that you outlined?
Well, the right way of thinking about quantum computing is it allows you to replace large amounts of human discovery with computing. So it opens up a whole new set of problems to compute. So the obvious industries here are things like battery chemistry, renewable energy, drug discovery, where right now you have people in labs testing chemicals that you can replace with computing. But another very active market that's picking up right now is in the financial industry. If you look at some of the big banks out there, JP Morgan, for example, they have a team of over 100 PhDs working on quantum computing algorithms for trading and portfolio optimization.
Very interesting.
I forgot that he said that. 100 PhDs working at JP Morgan Chase for portfolio optimization and trading. So you think a retail investor has a disadvantage to the institution before? Wait until these quantum computers are so powerful and you have all these quantum algorithms that are in the artificial intelligence. It's going to make the markets and trading very difficult for the retail investor.
In terms of the financial sector. Chris, how do you compete with Google and IBM? They're all pushing ahead on this. They're investing heavily. Some of their choices and decisions around the hardware and the R&D is different to yours. How do you build a moat versus big tech?
And before you answer this, I want to give my answer too, because you see this sometimes on forums and you see this in posts where short sellers or bears for quantum will come and say, well, look, AMD and IBM are doing this, so they're going to eat your lunch. The answer that he gives here, I think, will directly address this, but it's not a zero-sum game. And just because a big company is working on it doesn't mean they have the advantage of resource, but they don't have necessarily the advantage of patents, time. And just listen to what he says, because I think it will be clear.
That's a great question. And ultimately, this comes down to the classic innovator's dilemma question. If anyone who works in software can easily say, well, Google could do it, so why should we try? But that's a completely crap way of looking at it. The right way of looking at this is, why does someone like Google or Amazon or IBM have an unfair advantage? And they only have an unfair advantage when they can use the same tools they already use to tackle these problems. The really fascinating thing about quantum computing is that it's so different from classical computing. The way you have to tackle the problems is different. The technologies you use are different. The skill sets you require are different. So that means Google and IBM actually have a disadvantage compared to startups like us, because they have very large market expectations. So you can't get a foothold market. They have to go big or go home.
Chris, how should we think about, look, you're in the process, Oxford Ionics, of being bought by IonQ, a big US quantum computing company. Are you another example of a British gem of innovation and technology being gobbled up by a US giant? Is this a loss for the UK?
This is about the business logic of the combination. This is nothing about the US or the UK. We're in a global market, and the deal will be similarly attractive if IonQ was a UK company and Oxford Ionics was a US company. What's really exciting about this particular deal is that at Oxford Ionics, we have this core technology, which now has performance better than anything else out there, with chips built in standard semiconductor fabs. But IonQ has been working on developing applications alongside customers like AstraZeneca, like some of the large banks, some of the large industries. And they now have these systems deployed in the field. They've been operating quantum computers on all of the large cloud providers, AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, since before Oxford Ionics was founded. So when we put these two teams together, it allows us to shave a combined 2 years of our roadmap. And that's really exciting.
Okay, Chris.
And I've said before that if these companies were bigger, this acquisition would not have been allowed because of antitrust. That's how crazy this acquisition is.
Before we let you go, briefly, who wins the race? This is a geopolitical race to some extent. The US, China, the UK. Who's winning at this point? Who ultimately wins?
Right now, Western aligned countries are clearly ahead on quantum computing. China is investing heavily right now. So at the moment, it's really about how do we, in the free markets, properly invest and double down on this technology and get the winnings before places like China do.
Chris, really fascinating. Chris Ballance, co-founder and CEO of Oxford Ionics with big...
All right, guys. So that was an information-packed episode. And as you can see, just in the last 35 days, the last month of August and a couple of days in September, so much is happening all the time in quantum. That makes this space incredibly interesting. It's hard to predict the outcome of where all of this is going and who's going to come in first and who is going to build the first fault-tolerant quantum computer that can tackle real-world problems. But we can see that the race is accelerating, that it's heating up, that big tech players like IBM and AMD are in there, and Google and IBM are saying that we're in the home stretch of this race. And the overall feeling is the pace is accelerating. So anyway, I thought I would leave you all with that. I think I'm going to do these once a month. If you like content like this, please make sure you hit the like button. And if you want to subscribe so you can see next month's episode. And if you like the concept of covering the news for a month like this in one video, one bigger video, let me know in the comments. All right, we'll talk to you guys soon. If you would like to support thequantumbull.com and the Quantum Bull YouTube channel, I do have YouTube memberships here. Each of them has exclusive perks. The Gold Bull membership gets you into our Discord with trade alerts, and we have a lot of fun over there. So I invite you to come join as a channel member.